Hello, this is Wmpyr, here to talk about Captain Fairbairn's book, Get Tough. This is a small book. It's quite thin. I think it's like 100 pages. It's more like a booklet. It was designed to be a manual. My understanding is that it was small and thin enough that it's easy to carry, so that the soldiers could have it like in their coat, and when they had time they could whip it out and study it real quick. If you ever seen this book live, you might go, well, this is a very unimpressive book. It has drawings on the inside. It's not even photographs, and the text font is not a good font. It makes it kind of harder to read. So, you know all that being said, why is this such a big influence for me? At the time, in 1994, when I saw it at the college library, I was blown away. People, there was just something about it that blew me away. I didn't know anything about Captain Fairbairn. I couldn't tell you his name at the time, even like who wrote it. I don't know. You know. Um, uh, so I didn't know anything about the guy. I just thought that this was definitely gave me the vibes that it came from a legit uh, military from back in the day. So it wasn't someone uh, that wrote this stuff hoping that the military would pick it up. No, that this was someone that was involved in the actual military program. Um, so I had that gut feeling, but that was about it. And what I really liked at the time were the techniques. It was just the techniques, and even then, it was just a quick glance at the techniques, and I was like, I like these moves. I like what he's showing. But it was only many years later, over time of studying this stuff and having this stuff in my arsenal, and really putting in the time to think about how would I actually use this. And when I did use it, what's going to happen, right? That kind of stuff. When you really really start going in deeper into the material, then it really starts to open things up. Why did he select this and that, this move, that move? Why is it done this way? When you really start going into behind the lines reading, then for me, I noticed that there was a whole lot more. Um, and you could say, well, that's because you have a creative imagination. But there are some things that I look at. I like to do this with movies. I like to deep dive, and there's some movies you just watch, and it's just surface value entertainment. That's it. There's really not a whole lot deeper. But with this, I really really feel like there is a ton. It's that iceberg, and you're just at the tip of the iceberg, and there's like a 90% of the material, and part of it is learning about Captain Fairbairn himself, and then thinking about the era in which he developed this stuff, what they thought combat was, what they thought combat was before this, and how he revolutionized. And then once after he created this, then how did this affect, the next generations to come and what we have today? And from that perspective, I feel like he's the most influential martial artist of our time. Um, from that point of view, if you're just talking about just numbers wise, I believe it's Bruce Lee. You can't beat movies, and Bruce Lee is the most influential. But if you're talking about like the material and how it influenced today, what we have today, and what is actually being used by police and military today, in my opinion, it is Captain Fairbairn all the way. So anyway, now that I mentioned police and military, the police and military, they do a lot of training. They already have a lot of training. So if you tell them, hey, we're going to do hand-to-hand combat training, they don't like it. They're like, even more training. Look, we got stuff to do. We got other stuff that they're busy with. And the hand-to-hand combat training is not something that they normally get. A lot of soldiers and stuff probably not going to get excited over, unless that's just been something they've really been into. But they probably don't plan to get that close to the enemy. They don't plan to be in that kind of situation. They're supposed to be using their rifles. They're supposed to be using guns and grenades, not close quarter combat stuff. If they are, something went wrong, right? So when you are teaching them close quarters combat, CQC, it needs to be quick and it needs to be simple, because of what I just said. They don't have time to be practicing this stuff, right? And then, so that's A. And then B is, if they're going to access this stuff and they didn't have a whole lot of time to practice it, then it needs to be simple, quick, and easy, so that they can access it. And one of the best examples I've said to you guys, that I could think of is, do you want your weapon easily accessible so that you could deploy it quick? Or do you want your weapon, in order to get it out, it's very complicated? Maybe it has a lock, a combination lock, and it's inside your bag. It probably won't get taken away from you in a combat situation, but for them to access that is definitely going to be difficult, but that also makes it difficult for you to access as well. So, that's kind of the way that I imagine, if you are going to have a martial arts, some type of combat program in your arsenal, it needs to be simple, or you won't be able to deploy it. It's going to be too complex. Like, if you have too many options, I could do this, or this. That's very complicated, So it needs to be simple, clear, and easy to understand, easy to learn. And to me, that is the strength of Get Tough. And that's why the book, this manual, is pretty thin. So it needs to be simple like that. I really, really can't stress the importance of that, because enough of that, because so for my own system, I'm trying to do the same thing. I'm trying to make it easy access for you guys for a self-defense scenario. And the way that I like to describe the Captain Fairbairn's Get Tough method, right? And I'm modeling it after this stuff. My stuff is modeled after Captain Fairbairn in organization, because once again, his is simple, quick, and easy to understand, easy to use, right? And this is another example. If you're studying French and then you fly to France and you're at a French restaurant and you're trying to order, okay, and the waiter is going to bust out, their French on you, of course, because that's what they speak. So boom, they bust that out on you. At that point, what are you going to do? Are you going to take out your textbook? Your textbook is comprehensive. It has everything in there. Let's say it's a thick textbook from A to Z, has all the material you need in there. So you're going to bust that out and go, 1 second, please, and then flip through the pages and try to figure out what he's saying? or do you want cliff notes? Obviously, that's a real life situation. You're in the moment. You want cliff notes. You don't want the textbook. So a lot of martial arts to me, especially like the traditional stuff, is the textbook. It's very comprehensive, has a ton of info, and that's a good thing in that situation. If you're studying this stuff, it's a lifelong study. It goes in deep. But if you're in the situation where it's like, I need to use this in a week, or I need to use this now, then you want cliff notes. And this Captain Fairbairn's book, Get Tough, to me, is the cliff notes of Asian martial arts and Western martial arts from his point of view, from his own experiences and stuff. But he organized all that and made his own cliff notes. And that's what he's presenting to you for the purpose of CQC, close quarters combat. So, right here it says how to win in hand-to-hand fighting. Yeah. I think they had to reword the hand-to-hand fighting because that probably got misunderstood. Hand-to-hand fighting, in my understanding, it means you're close enough to go hand-to-hand, but it doesn't mean you're empty-handed and they're empty-handed. That's what it sounds like, but that's not. I don't think that's what they mean. It means it's close enough that you could put your hands on each other, but you could still be using bayonet. You could still be using the spade. You could still be using a trench knife. You could still be using weapons, but close enough to put your hands on the guy. And so that's why I think they changed it to CQC, close quarters combat, to avoid that misunderstanding. Same thing with the terminology for MMA, mixed martial arts. To me, it's mixed martial arts fighting. You're fighting against other styles. So we're allowing a mixture of styles to compete against each other. Because in boxing, only boxers get to box each other. In judo, it's only judo. People go up against other judo people, Taekwondo, same thing. Taekwondo versus Taekwondo. So in MMA, now you may have a boxer wrestler versus a judo sambo guy. You got mixed. But it frequently gets misunderstood as mixed martial arts means you have a bunch of different styles that you train in. And this is obviously not true in a sense that, so if you did Wing Chun, Kung Fu, Sistema, and Capoeira, does that make you an MMA fighter? No, it doesn't. That's a different thing, a different animal. So that's why I personally don't like the term MMA, but everybody uses it today. But maybe there might be a change. So that's it for now. Thank you for viewing, and take care, folks.